Let me tell you about two brothers who grew up in the same house, with the same parents, same opportunities, same starting point in life. Brother number one, let's call him Dave, was always the smart one. He got good grades without much effort, landed a great job right out of college, and everyone expected him to be successful. Dave made what seemed like reasonable choices. Every morning he'd stop at Starbucks and get a $6 coffee and a $4 muffin, just $10. After work, he'd grab dinner from a restaurant because cooking seemed like too much work, another $15. On weekends, he'd go out with friends, spend money on entertainment, buy things he didn't really need. None of these choices seemed bad. Dave was living a normal, comfortable life. Brother number two, let's call him Mike, wasn't considered the smart one. He struggled more in school, had to work harder for everything. But Mike made different choices. Instead of buying coffee, Mike made it at home and put that $10 into a savings account every day. Instead of eating out, he learned to cook and meal prep on Sundays. Instead of random entertainment, he spent his evenings reading books about business and investing. For the first few years, nothing dramatic happened. Dave was actually living a more comfortable life. He had nicer clothes, ate better food, went to more parties. Mike seemed to be missing out. But then something interesting started happening around year 5. Mike's small daily savings had grown into a significant investment account. His reading habit had given him knowledge that helped him get promoted faster. His cooking skills had kept him healthier and more energetic. By year 10, the gap was becoming obvious. Mike had bought his first rental property with his savings. Dave was still renting and had accumulated credit card debt. By year 30, Mike owned multiple properties, had started his own business, and was financially free. Dave was still working the same job, stressed about money, and wondering where his life had gone wrong. The difference? Dave made comfortable choices that felt good in the moment. Mike made compound choices that felt insignificant in the moment, but created massive results over time. Our learning from this story is that success isn't dramatic. It's not about one big decision that changes everything. It's about small, seemingly boring choices that most people ignore, compounded over years and decades. Every decision shapes your destiny. You must own your choices. Let me tell you about Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world. But this isn't the story you think you know. In 1988, Warren Buffett made what seemed like an ordinary investment decision. He bought shares in Coca-Cola for $1.3 billion. Many experts at that time said he was crazy. Coca-Cola wasn't some hot tech stock or revolutionary company. It was just Coca-Cola, a simple drink company. But Buffett saw something others didn't. He understood that Coca-Cola was consumed by millions of people every single day. Each day, people would wake up and drink Coke. Small choice, seemingly insignificant, but multiply that small choice by millions of people every single day for decades. Today, that $1.3 billion investment is worth over $25 billion. That's the compound effect in action. But here's the real lesson. Buffett didn't just understand this principle in investing, he applied it to his entire life. Every morning for over 60 years, Buffett has followed the same routine. He wakes up at 6:30 a.m., reads 5 newspapers, and spends 80% of his day reading and thinking. Not flashy, not exciting, just consistent, small daily actions. People would ask him, "Warren, what's your secret?" And he would say, "I read 500 pages every day." That's how knowledge builds up, like compound interest. While others were chasing get-rich-quick schemes, Buffett was making small, consistent choices every single day. Reading one more page, learning one more thing, making one more thoughtful decision. The result? He became one of the most successful investors in history, not through one big breakthrough, but through thousands of small, compound choices. Our learning from this story is that success isn't about making one massive decision that changes everything. It's about making small, positive choices consistently, every single day, and letting time work its magic. Now let me tell you a story that will make you think twice about every small choice you make. In 1912, there was a ship called the Titanic. You know the story of how it sank, but do you know the real reason why over 1,500 people died that night? It wasn't just the iceberg. It was a series of small, seemingly harmless decisions that compounded into a disaster. First, the ship's designers decided to save money by using cheaper rivets in certain sections. Small decision, saved a few $1,000s. Second, the lookouts didn't have binoculars because they were locked away and no one could find the key. Small oversight, seemed unimportant. Third, the ship was traveling at near maximum speed through ice-filled waters because the captain wanted to make headlines for a fast crossing. Small ego decision. Fourth, the radio operator on a nearby ship had gone to bed early instead of staying on duty. Small personal choice. Fifth, during the evacuation, many lifeboats were launched only half full because the crew wasn't properly trained. Small training oversight. Each of these decisions alone seemed insignificant, but they compounded. The cheap rivets made the ship more vulnerable. The missing binoculars meant the iceberg was spotted too late. The high speed meant they couldn't turn in time. The sleeping radio operator meant no help was coming. The poor training meant fewer people could be saved. Small negative choices compounding into catastrophe. Now let me tell you about someone who understood this principle and used it to save millions of lives. In 1854, a British nurse named Florence Nightingale, arrived at a military hospital during the Crimean War. The conditions were horrific. Soldiers were dying not from their wounds, but from infections and diseases caused by poor hygiene. Nightingale made a simple observation. Soldiers were dying because of small, seemingly unimportant hygiene practices. Doctors weren't washing their hands. Wounds weren't being cleaned properly. The hospital wasn't being sanitized. So she made small changes. She insisted that everyone wash their hands before treating patients. Small action. She made sure wounds were cleaned properly. Small action. She improved ventilation and sanitation throughout the hospital. Small actions. The other doctors laughed at her. They said these small things didn't matter. But Nightingale persisted. Within 6 months, the death rate in her hospital dropped from 42% to 2%. Those small hygiene choices, compounded across thousands of patients, saved countless lives. Our learning from this story is that negative choices compound just as powerfully as positive ones. Every time you skip exercise, eat junk food, procrastinate, or make excuses, you're not just making one bad choice. You're contributing to a compound effect that will eventually create massive negative results in your life. Let me tell you about a man who was considered a complete failure for most of his life, but who understood the compound effect better than almost anyone. In 1922, Walt Disney was fired from his job at a newspaper. His editor told him he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Imagine being told you have no imagination when you're destined to create Mickey Mouse. Disney didn't give up. He started a small animation company, but it went bankrupt. He tried again with another company. It also failed. People around him said, "Walt, maybe you should try something else. Animation isn't for you." But Disney understood something powerful. He knew that every small step forward, even if it seemed like a failure, was building something larger. Each failed business taught him something new. Each rejection made him more determined. Each small improvement in his animation skills compounded. In 1928, he created Mickey Mouse. Small start, just a simple cartoon character. Then he made the first animated movie with synchronized sound. Small innovation. Then he created the first full-length animated movie, Snow White. Another step forward. Then he opened Disneyland. Each success built on the previous one. But here's what most people don't realize. Disney's success wasn't about one big breakthrough. It was about small, consistent improvements compounding over decades. Every morning, Disney would arrive at his studio early and spend time sketching new ideas. Small daily habit. He would study every piece of feedback, no matter how small. He would make tiny improvements to his animation techniques, day after day, year after year. By the time Disney died in 1966, his company was worth millions. Today, it's worth over $200 billion, all because of small, consistent choices that compounded over time. Our learning from this story is that momentum is everything. Once you start making small, positive choices consistently, they build momentum. That momentum makes the next choice easier, which builds more momentum, which makes success almost inevitable. So how do you harness the compound effect in your own life? It's actually simpler than you think. First, identify one small positive choice you can make every day. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book. Maybe it's doing 20 push-ups. Maybe it's saving $5. The key is that it must be small enough that you can do it even on your worst day. Second, be consistent. The compound effect only works with consistency. Doing 100 push-ups once a month will never give you the results of doing 10 push-ups every single day. Third, be patient. The compound effect is not visible at first. For weeks, maybe even months, you won't see dramatic results, but trust the process. Just like Warren Buffett's investment in Coca-Cola, the real magic happens over time. Fourth, eliminate negative compounding. Look at your life and identify small negative choices that are compounding against you. Maybe it's checking social media too much. Maybe it's eating one extra cookie every day. Maybe it's hitting the snooze button. Small changes here will have massive impact. If this video helped you understand the power of the compound effect, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos that can change your life. Your future self will thank you for the small choice you make today to start compounding success in your life.